Hey guys, David here. So in case you haven't noticed, I was on the verge of not posting a video this weekend because I gotta be honest, I was getting kind of lazy. I didn't know what to review, and I was just like, I think I need a break. But Better Call Saul season 2 just wrapped earlier this week, and I feel like, okay, if I gotta talk about one thing, it's gonna be about how season 2 went along and whether or not you should invest your time in season 2. Granted, if you watched season 1, you're probably a good portion of the way through season 2. Most of the people that I talk to that have gotten into Better Call Saul are like, yeah, season 2, I'm on my way already. There's no necessity for a review at this point. But because I'm a talkative bunch, I'm going to talk about season 2 anyway. Now, there are going to be some mild, and I would say mild because I'm going to try to refrain from giving any specific details, but there are going to be some mild spoilers for season 1 as well as possibly season 2. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to try to be as vague as possible with some of those details because I genuinely want people who have not watched either season 1 or season 2 to be interested in watching this show. If they have still not made up their mind even after watching my season 1 review, which is up on my channel, and go check it out if you haven't already done so, then hopefully this video will turn you around. So season 2 continues from season 1, in which Jimmy really did feel like he is done abiding by the rules. Even though in season 2 he finds himself in a position where maybe he's gonna give that type of mentality a shot, because he's tired of disappointing his brother. He's tired of disappointing people that care about him, including his love interest, Kim, played by Rhea Seehorn. He is done of being looked down as a failure, as a schemer. So he's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give this stuff a shot. I mean, he said he alluded to in the season finale from season 1 that he was tired of not taking the chances that he should have, because in season 1, when he didn't do that, he walked away from something that could have maybe benefited his life. So in season 2, he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna let that stuff, that type of mentality, that type of mindset stop me from making those kind of choices again. So trying to appease to the people that surround him in this season, he undergoes certain mental transformations. Well, not so, I don't want to say mental transformations, but he gives things a shot that usually don't go by the way that his personality is, because his personality is about breaking the rules, the rules existing for the sake of breaking them, in order to hopefully do the wrong things for the right reasons. And we see him do that a shit ton of times in season 2. And the big arc that really encapsulates this is where he takes a position in this law firm that is not his. Somebody else owns this law firm, and he pretty much becomes a lawyer employed within that firm. And it is in this firm where he's being given almost everything. He is almost treated like a VIP. He has to choose his own desk. He gets to choose anything cosmetic of his liking, and he has this assistant, and he has all these things, but he's unhappy because they also have all of these perks, and all these privileges also come with this framed structure form of mentality that he's just not cool with. He's like, I want to do things my own way. And so when he tries to do that, shit just backfires. And this type of thing is all the stuff that his brother is just waiting for. Chuck McGill, played by Michael McKean. And again, alluding to a very vague, a little mild spoiler for season 1. Let's just say that by the end of season 1, you just straight up go, fuck that guy, okay? I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and he seemed like he could be a sympathetic character throughout that first season, but he does something at the end of that finale where you're just like, you know what? Screw you, man. Alright, we were trying to sympathize with you. We were trying to be on your side, but at this point, I'm Team Jimmy, okay? I'm going to try to hopefully encourage Jimmy to prevail so that he can have the last laugh over you. But sadly, it is in season 2 where his mental condition, because trust me, it is a mental condition, starts to get the better of him to the point where he's out for blood for his brother, and he is going to try to tear him down. And in season 2, he full on becomes a villain. He is pretty much the antagonist, the main villain of the show, to the point where he has this entrance early on in season 2 that's very much a villain entrance. Not only does he have a lackey by the name of Ernie, who even he doesn't want to be, even that character doesn't want to be under under the control of this Chuck character anymore. But because of his condition, he asks people to remove electrical devices or whatever. He has this entrance where people are just removing their electrical devices. Like, they don't even talk about it. They just start doing it. And Jimmy just looks around like, with this look on his face, like, oh God, he's here. And he just makes like this entrance. And throughout the season, you just see him become more and more of that villain. Now, the writers, however, do this really great thing with him that is frustrating, but in a good way, where you're like, I want to hate this character, but for every 2 or 3 scenes that you hate him, and you're just like, oh my God. And trust me, when you say you hate him, I say maybe, if you guys watched Breaking Bad, you might hate this character more than Skyler. You just might. And I don't know if that's going to turn you off from wanting to watch the show if you haven't already been watching, but oh my God, yeah, he's just that despicable. However, the point that I was trying to make is that for every 2 or 3 scenes of him being a dislikable character and trying to use the law against Jimmy to try to turn him down, because what makes him such an unlikable and hateful character, to the point of being hateful, is the fact that Jimmy, despite breaking the rules and despite doing these things behind people's backs in a very scheming manner, he does it for the most earnest, lovable reasons. Again, he does the wrong things for the right reasons. He does it for people that he cares about. He does it, and there's certain scenes where he does it even for his brother, despite his brother despising him and trying to tear him down because of how he has excelled in life by scheming and conning people. Jimmy still tries to do things to abide by his brother and to try to get his approval, even down to the season finale where the dude is incapacitated because of his condition, and Jimmy, in almost every single scene, is still by his side, waiting for him to, in case he needs like a glass of water, in case he needs something, he's right there. And because of that, that makes Chuck an even more hateful character that by the season you're just like, oh my God, I hope you get what's coming to you. And again, without going into spoilers, I'm hoping that season 3 delivers the comeuppance that he rightfully deserves. Even though they were kind of somewhat alluding to in the penultimate episode in this season, I just really hope that this arc really does, because Chuck, you don't know what happens to him. I mean, you get a sense of what's gonna become of Jimmy because of Breaking Bad. He's going to evolve into that Saul Goodman character. How is what you're interested with Jimmy. Chuck, on the other hand, you have no idea what happens to him because he's nowhere to be found in Breaking Bad. He could have died. He could have gone into exile. He could have been committed to a mental institute. Who knows? That's not a spoiler. That's just pure speculation because season 2 did not answer that, and we still don't know the answer to that. And it could go one of either. It could go in many different directions, and that's why his arc is very fascinating. And like I said, the reason why I feel like the writers do toy around with you, but in a good way, is because they do this natural balance of having every 2 or 3 scenes of him being hateful and then contrasting them with a scene where you genuinely feel bad for the character because of that condition. Because you do have ever so often a flashback to things that happened in his past that kind of makes sense for him to be tremendously bitter towards Jimmy. Certain things that happen in his relationships, certain things that have to do with both his and Jimmy's parents, because they are brothers. Their parents do play a huge part into molding these two characters, and because of all this, you really do see season 2 as this rivalry between the two brothers, to where you got your hero and you got your villain. Now, if you've been watching Better Call Saul, you might be noticing that I'm failing to mention a little someone who has become a humongous fan favorite amongst the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul universe, and that is, of course, Mike Ehrmantraut, played by Jonathan Banks. And his story does take center stage here in season 2, to where he goes to some extreme lengths that you never really noticed. I mean, he did a couple of things like this. In fact, I will say he's done some more badass stuff later on in his career that we witnessed in Breaking Bad. But there's something about the things that he does here involving the cartel, involving drugs, involving stings, involving all this cool badass stuff that we've known Mike to do, that feels a little bit more personal in this season than it was even in Breaking Bad, because in Breaking Bad it was more of his profession. Here, he's taking things upon him. He's taking things into his own hands to make sure that nothing happens to his granddaughter or his daughter-in-law. And I will say this, that this does run into one of the problems with season 2, where Mike's story is so captivating that sometimes you kind of forget about Jimmy. There's certain episodes where the episode centers around Mike. It even centers around Kim, Jimmy's love interest, and some of the things that have to do with Chuck, as well as the law firm that Jimmy works for, as well as Kim works for, and how they both try to escape that shadow that they've been living under. To the point where Jimmy himself, the main character of the story, is pretty much second fiddle within those 2 episodes. And so ever so often we do come across an off balance where Mike's story is a little bit more high stakes than that of Jimmy, because Jimmy just has to do with being the highest stake that we go to is him being banned from law, banned from the Bar Association, and being banned from being able to be a lawyer at all, which we know he is going to become to a certain extent in Breaking Bad. With Mike, however, again, we do see him in Breaking Bad, so we know that he himself is going to be fine, but how the people that he talks to, the people that he cares about, and the people that are involved with his particular plotline, it's much more high stakes, because you literally do involve death. People are dying on his side of the story, to the point where, I gotta be honest, you could almost make a whole show just on him, like Better Call Saul. And then, oh, there goes Mike. That could be the name of his spinoff show. And I gotta be honest, you could make an entire show on just Mike trying to take out the cartel single-handedly as a one-man army. Now, this is, however, where we get into the most Breaking Bad-y stuff. In fact, that's where the show starts to delve into Breaking Bad territory, because not only the nature of the story that has to do with the cartel, that has to do with drugs, that has to do with Mexico, but also in season 2 we get our most Breaking Bad cameos and appearances that we see later on in Breaking Bad, with characters being introduced there. Not big names, don't look for Walter and Jesse. I know they're probably going to be coming later on down the line, but some lesser known character, or some lesser loved characters from Breaking Bad make an appearance in season 2 of Better Call Saul, but they do it in a way where I'm like, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing how much light they shed on this character, because they were kind of, I don't want to say come and go, but they didn't have that much of a voice. And I almost mean that literally, that much of a voice in Breaking Bad. So it's nice to see that they are in fact getting a voice, both technically and artistically, in season 2 of Better Call Saul. And if that's not enough to cater to your fancy, then I highly recommend doing a little bit of detective work with the titles of the episodes in season 2 to try to decrypt who might just be arriving in season 3. You're probably just going to Google this shit, and in fact the producers of the show have confirmed that this is correct, so definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out when season 3 returns in 2017. Besides the slight off balance between Mike's and Jimmy's stories, to where one feels a little bit more important than the other at times, not all the time, but at times, especially during the middle, it is during this middle section of the season where we do have this arc with Jimmy and that other law firm that he decides to work for, where, again, without going into too many spoilers, it ends in a way where it's kind of like back to square one, and I've never been a huge fan of that with certain shows where they take this character through this arc, and then by the end of it, they're kind of back to where they started, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but, I mean, it made for some good character drama, some good character beats, a little bit of evolution with those characters, as well as just some well-made cinematography and camera work and great writing and that kind of stuff, but on the large scale of things, we are now back to where we started, and I've never been a huge fan of TV shows that do that. Another show that did that, I think, last year, and it's going to be returning in June of this year, is *Halt and Catch Fire*. In season 2, a certain character goes through this arc that was really interesting and cool, only by the end of it, they go back to how they were at the end of season 1. I'm like, okay, what was the whole point of that? Why do you bother to do that? Let's progress. That's the whole reason behind the show, is to progress and to be involved in this 10-hour movie practically. But besides those two complaints I have with the season, this was, I believe, on par with season 1. It does feel a continuation of season 1, and it does have some things that season 1 didn't have, but at the same time, season 1 did have a couple of nuances within its writing, within its episodes, that I did prefer over some of the things that happened in season 2, particularly the season finale. The season finale of season 1 was to me much more of much more of a solid finale than the one for season 2. Season two's finale, while still had a good thing at the end of it that made me go, oh my god, you're killing me. I have to wait until 2017 to see how that is used. On the whole, it didn't feel that much like a finale. It felt like just another episode to lead to the next one. I was almost expecting there for it to be an episode 11. But besides those shortcomings, season 2 was yet another great season of not just Better Call Saul, but just another great season of television with great writing, great cinematography. There's some great camera work here with a couple of tracking shots, as well as this static one shot of this character going through a really hard to watch procedure that, I mean, it's not graphic or anything, but because of the context, you're just kind of like, oh man. Again, one of those moments where you feel bad for a character even though you shouldn't. And besides that, you do get some really great character analysis with Jimmy, with Kim, with all of these people that are definitely going to be possibly just as memorable as those characters that we see later on in Breaking Bad. So for that, I give season 2 of Better Call Saul a low 9 out of 10. I believe that's the same rating I gave the season 1. If not, then again, they're practically neck and neck, except season 2 didn't deliver anything that was atomically better than season 1, whether it be a brand new character or a brand new element or something to raise the stakes to balance all the stories that are being told within this universe. So anyways, let me know what you guys thought of Better Call Saul season 2, and I'll see you guys next time.